You know, most countries, when they're on the verge of economic collapse, civil war, and complete and utter international embarrassment, they try to fix things, improve healthcare, educate people, build, roads. But Pakistan chooses a different option. Pakistan does a Pahalgam. And after the Pahalgam attack, a lot of Indian people were rightly angry, but a lot of Indian people and many in the mainstream media have been asking for a war against Pakistan.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने आतंकी और उसके आकाओं को मिट्टी में मिलाने की जो प्रतिज्ञा दोहराई है, वो पूरी कैसे होने वाली है? आतंकियों को जड़ से खत्म करने के लिए क्या हो रहा है?
India and Pakistan are on high alert. Military movements have begun across both sides of border. After the deadly terror attack in Pahalgam that killed 26 people, Pakistan has now launched a 3-day air warfare exercise in its southern command. Pakistan has moved heavy military equipment to its southern bases amid escalating tensions with India.
What about the threat assessment? You saved money! You saved money to get these people killed, damn you! I fought in Kishtwar. 3 years, Arnab. We had that area totally under control. Now that poor Sector 9, Sector RR, those boys are being asked to look after 2 sectors because somebody felt manpower is not needed.
And look, I understand people's anger. I understand people's desire for vengeance. I share that desire. But personally, I believe that a hot conflict with Pakistan will be a bad idea. In fact, I believe that India should learn from the mistakes that 2 of India's allies, the United States and Israel, committed in the last couple of decades after major terrorist attacks against them. And let me tell you why initiating a war against Pakistan is a bad idea. See, back in 2001, America was the king of the world. Strongest economy, biggest military, Hollywood ruling pop culture. And then 9/11 happened. America had a similar desire for vengeance that Indians have today. And America jumped right into the fray. They spent trillions of dollars, got thousands of soldiers killed. They destroyed Iraq for no reason. Iraq was literally the mujhe kyun toda meme. Their actions directly contributed to the creation of ISIS. And for what? Osama was chilling in a mansion near a Pakistani military base the whole time, literally living better than 99% of all Pakistanis. And so what happened after America declared war in Afghanistan and Iraq? Well, America's position in the world was significantly damaged. Not only did thousands of American soldiers die, further thousands were crippled for life. They wasted trillions of dollars on these 2 wars. And ultimately, a lot of countries just soured on America's misadventures in Afghanistan and Iraq. They did not achieve the goals that they wanted in Afghanistan and Iraq. In fact, 20 years after they started the war against Taliban, the Taliban is back in power in Afghanistan. And that allowed a space that is now being taken up by China. And so ultimately, America getting dragged into a hot war in Afghanistan and Iraq cost them a lot. It cost them their global prestige. It cost them their global influence. It cost them significant economic and political influence. And it created a political and economic vacuum that is now being filled by China. We saw something similar with Israel after October 7th. Israel launched an all-out war against Hamas in Gaza. And look, I am all for eliminating Hamas. It is a blot on the planet that needs to be scrubbed off. However, let's see what happened since Israel waged the war. It has created a massive humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Israel effectively got locked in a mire with Hamas. They were not able to finish off Hamas even after a year of conflict. On the other hand, they lost significant support internationally, even among their traditional allies like the US and the EU. In America earlier, an overwhelming majority of Americans supported Israel. Now, less than half of all Americans have a favorable view of Israel. That is a massive drop in popularity. Ultimately, Israel expended a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of weapons and ammunition, and didn't really achieve their target of eliminating Hamas. And now, there is overwhelming pressure on Israel to call a ceasefire. And they've lost a lot of political goodwill even among their traditional allies. This is what Pakistan and especially China want India to do. They want India to get locked in a messy war with Pakistan. That way, India can expend its resources, weapons, and personnel in a long-drawn war with Pakistan, and China can use that as an excuse to potentially open a second front in the war against India in the north. This will be extremely disadvantageous for India, not to mention the potential loss of international support that they might face similar to Israel and USA. Because think about it, right now, pretty much the entire planet is siding with India against Pakistan. From the Middle East to USA to Europe, they're all standing with India right now. So I think a hot war against Pakistan is not a good idea. And it will be basically playing into the hands of Pakistan. Because that's exactly what Pakistan wants. Pakistan wants a war because that is the only way the army will be able to rebuild its legitimacy. They'll be able to say to their people, look, India is attacking us and only the army can defend you. So what should India do? Well, much of what actually they already have been doing. I call India's current approach towards Pakistan the Anaconda Approach. Just like the anaconda slowly squeezes its victims to death, that's the approach that India needs to take. The goal that India would like to achieve through a hot war can be achieved through the Anaconda Approach as well. The goal is the utter dismemberment of Pakistan into multiple pieces, recovery of POK, independence of Balochistan. These can be achieved through the Anaconda method. Now, there are many steps in the Anaconda method. Step 1, the Indus Water Treaty. Potentially the biggest decision that India could have taken, it seems they already have taken. India, for all intents and purposes, suspended the Indus Water Treaty, something they didn't even do during the 1971 or 1999 wars. This is extremely significant because 80 to 85% of Pakistan's water comes from the Indus River system. Most of the agricultural production is dependent on this river system. India has already begun plans to divert water away from Pakistan, which could potentially lead to massive droughts in Punjab and Sindh. India has also been intermittently releasing water, leading to flooding. This withholding and releasing water intermittently is going to play havoc with Pakistani agriculture. Just this step itself would starve Pakistan and completely and utterly devastate Pakistan's economy even more than right now. Step number 2, no more visas. No more cultural exchange, no more cricket. Not a single YouTube or social media account based in Pakistan should be allowed to monetize in India, because most of these people make an overwhelming majority of their income off an Indian audience. No more mooching off of the Indian audience. Complete and utter boycott in India of anything Pakistani. They're starving economically right now. Turn the dial up to 11. Step 3, hit back. There needs to be a response. I'm not saying that the government should not respond. I fully appreciate that the government is taking its time to plan and respond accordingly. This response doesn't need to be a war. The response can be a coordinated but devastating strike that we can record and show to the entire world as a deterrence and show what India can do if provoked. That should hopefully satiate the Indians' need for blood to an extent as well and give Pakistan a response that they will not forget in a hurry. But it should not be a war. Next, continue to isolate them internationally. Use the influence that you have with the European Union, with America, and with Saudi Arabia to continue to isolate these people economically, diplomatically, and politically. India has a lot to offer America, EU, and Saudi Arabia. Pakistan doesn't. Use that and isolate them even more. Continue the unknown man strategy. Again, I'm not saying India has any hand in the unknown gunman phenomenon that has taken out some of the biggest extremists and terrorists that are in India's crosshairs. But that strategy should continue. Continue the strategy to take out high-value targets within Pakistan, something that has already been happening very successfully over the last few years. India right now has a very good relationship with Afghanistan. Afghanistan and the Taliban also do not have a good relationship with Pakistan, particularly the army, because the Taliban, which themselves are Afghan nationalists, are very unhappy with the way Pakistani army has treated Pashtuns in Pakistan. There are already plans between India and Afghanistan to build a dam on the two rivers from Afghanistan that go into Pakistan. On top of India suspending the Indus River Treaty, Pakistan is literally going to die of thirst. Next, provide complete and full support to the Balochistan movement and other independence movements within Pakistan. In fact, the BLA and the Pakistani Taliban has killed more Pakistani soldiers than the Indian army in the last 15 years. Provide them all necessary support and resources that they need to decimate the Pakistani army in Balochistan and ensure that Balochistan is independent within the next decade. Again, remember, the goal of the Anaconda strategy as well as the hot war are the same. The complete and utter dismemberment of Pakistan into multiple pieces, the destruction of the Pakistani army, and the recovery of Pakistani-occupied Kashmir. I would go as far as to say that another goal of India should be the eventual extension of Indian borders up to the river Indus, which since time immemorial has been the natural boundary of India. But India, again, should not make the mistakes of US and Israel. People might not love it, but the Anaconda approach is a much better long-term strategy to dismantle Pakistan than a full-scale war. But I would like to get your opinion on this. Do you think a full-scale war is a better idea, or this Anaconda approach is better? Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you for the next episode. And until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and to all of you, a secular pranam.